I just got done reading the Thunderbolts Omnibus Volume 1 by Busiek and Mark Bagley. This is going to be a long video. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm GemMint, and like I said, I just got done reading 33 plus issues of Thunderbolts, the first run by Busiek and Mark Bagley. Mark Bagley is one of my favorite Spider-Man artists of all time, and I've been super interested in reading this book ever since I got the omnibus in. It's going to be kind of a long video. We're going to go deep diving into this omnibus and talk about what happened in this first volume. Before we get into it though, make sure you hit that like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments down below which one is your favorite Thunderbolt. Let's get into it. All right, so here we got the cover of the Dust Jacket, art by Mark Bagley and Vince Russell. This is also the cover for issue number 1. Then going on to the spine, Thunderbolts, Busiek, Mark Bagley. This is volume 1. And just showing what it collects on the back. So Thunderbolts 0 through 33 plus annual 1997 has Thunderbolts Distant Rumblings issue -1, Incredible Hulk 449, which is their first appearance, Spider-Man Team Up 7, Heroes for Hire 7, Captain America and Citizen V annual 1998, and Avengers issue 12, and some material from Tales of the Marvel Universe issue 1. Inside of the Dust Jacket, just talking about what's happening in the omnibus, which we're going to go over right now. Biography on the artist and the writer. And we have a wraparound cover. This is from a cover, which we'll see inside this Omni as well. Mark Bagley art. All right, so let's open up. We got the cover page here. Nice splash page. So this is the original Thunderbolts team. You have Atlas, Songbird, Mach 1. You have Techno, and you have Citizen V. But there will be additions and there will be changes. And those characters are secretly villains that are pretending to be heroes in the wake of Onslaught, where Fantastic Four and the Avengers have died. The only heroes that are around are vigilantes or mutants and don't have really a good rep. So Screaming Mimi, Goliath, Baron Zemo, Beetle, Fixer, and Moonstone. Those are the villains playing these heroes. And it opens up not with their first appearance, but with their first issue, talking about the fallout from Onslaught here. Fantastic Four, Avengers, the destruction. We see this, what seems to be a random civilian, get kidnapped. This is where we first get introduced to Citizen V making a citizen's arrest. Here they are in action. This is their first public battle where they fight against bad guys. Some of them have to actually damp down their powers so others don't put 2 and 2 together. So Moonstone doesn't use her intangibility, and Techno doesn't show how advanced his technology power really is. So you can see they address the press after this battle here, and they're kind of ready for heroes. The world needs more heroes because the few that are around can't really handle the workload of all the villains. Now there's some serious damage during this battle. The arm of the Statue of Liberty gets blown off, but what's different about the Thunderbolts that the media liked already is immediately after the fight, they stuck around to repair everything and clean up. Now, Mark Bagley is one of my favorite, if not most favorite, Spider-Man artists. Look how he kills Spider-Man on this issue, where we as readers first learn of their true identities. Techno's Fixer, Mach 1's Beetle, Songbird is Screaming Mimi, Goliath is Atlas, and Moonstone is Meteorite. Oh, and a little preview of this person. So it's important. We're supposed to remember who this girl is. Now, we get the true first appearance of the Thunderbolts in this issue of Incredible Hulk 449. Songbird has these powers, kind of like Green Lantern, but it's solid sound constructs that she's able to make. Citizen V, Baron Zemo's just a master strategist. The Beetle, he's got like a flight mech suit or whatever. But I like this line from Hulk where they said,
"Well, what are you waiting for?"
He goes,
I was waiting for all of you in one place.
So Thunderbolts feature in a couple of other issues before we jump back into their run with issue 2. So the Tales of the Marvel Universe issue, the Spider-Man team-up issue, and it just kind of shows the Thunderbolts making a name for themselves as heroes and just kind of taking down villain groups and helping save people. The Thunderbolts start getting the attention of other heroes like Franklin Richards from the Fantastic Four. They get the attention of Spider-Man. We get a little love interest blooming here between Mach 1, who's the Beetle, and Screaming Mimi, who's Songbird. Busiek, man, so one thing about him, classic writer, he's going to give you a lot of dialogue in this book, man. Check out all the word bubbles on these 2 pages. But he gets really deep and digs into the characters like Screaming Mimi and why she was a villain in the first place, and kind of going into each character and really fleshing them out. So they go up against a lot of Avengers villains, the Super Adaptoids. We're going to get another version of the Masters of Evil. The funny thing about the Thunderbolts is as they play hero, most of them really start to like it, and they like being embraced by the public, and they like helping and doing the right thing. So that's what a big part of this book is. And when we get to some of the twists and turns, we'll talk about it then. But right now, everyone's just playing their role. We don't really know what the master plan is, but it starts to come to fruition when Citizen V starts working with media and then starts demanding access to the Avengers files. So the city and the blessing of Franklin Richards do get them a new base, which is in, what is it, Four Freedoms Plaza, was the Fantastic Four's building prior. And they give it to the Thunderbolts. So that's kind of where we get a paradigm shift for the villains. When they start being given things from the public, they're into it. So then here they are versus the new Masters of Evil, and you have the Crimson Cowl as their leader. The Thunderbolts were the Masters of Evil, led by Baron Zemo. So like, who is this new Crimson Cowl? And that's going to come to play a little bit later. But a lot of twists and turns. I feel like the Thunderbolts team, every few issues or so, it starts to feel very campy, like they're another Avengers-like superhero team. But anytime it gets just a little bit too campy, they throw like this crazy twist at you. Some of the pages I literally jaw dropped. Techno here, he's the Fixer fighting against Mankiller. So Mankiller, she plays a role later on in this omnibus that it doesn't get tied up yet. So I'm interested to see if that continues into volume 2. But see, he can do all this crazy kind of techie stuff, and he's not supposed to do that because it can kind of give him away. But I guess they were in the pinch during this battle, so he had to do what he had to do. In the beginning, Black Widow takes an interest in them, and she's not really sure what to think about them, so she watches them for a little while. We get a new team member in issue 4 of Thunderbolts. So you remember that girl that was kidnapped in the beginning? Turns out her family was killed and everything was destroyed during the events of Onslaught. She got captured by the Rat Pack. So that was the first team that they fought, the Rat Pack and the new Masters of Evil. So anyway, she has some kind of powers as well. Like she could kind of bounce around like a little lightning bolt, little thunderbolt, if you will, and she can zap people. She's 15 years old, and what's funny about it, she doesn't know that the rest of them, who they really are, that they're really bad guys. So we get this Arnim Zola. He's one of the other earlier villains that the Thunderbolts go up against. But the thing about Jolt is her innocence and her wanting to be a hero is what also pushes the rest of the team to want to be heroes. So it's actually really good for them. And what's happening is you have Moonstone. She's a therapist. She's evil. She has powers. And she's really just trying to usurp power from Baron Zemo. She's always on that, man. She's one, like, even though others are starting to reform, she really is still kind of bad, but playing the role. All right, so here's the 1997 annual, giving us the origin of the Thunderbolts. So Masters of Evil, their alter egos as the Thunderbolts. Here's Joel here. They do training sessions. They're in the Baxter building. And I believe this is the issue that goes back and explains why Baron Zemo came up with this idea and how he ended up recruiting everybody. So here's him recruiting the Fixer, Scream and Mimi. She's with one of her partners in crime, and they go deep into her story. I think he gets killed or something along those lines, and you know, she's a loner. She always needs like some kind of companion. There's a whole thing there. So yeah, boom, he died. Going back to the Beetle, he's got a really great story as Mach 1. Like, it was really good for him to become Mach 1, showing him going up against Daredevil. Baron Zemo as Citizen V gives her the background on all of them, but he's really leaving out the key details on who they were. He's just being vague about that, but the recruiting thing he was explaining to Jolt. All right, then here we are on to issue 5, Atlas versus the Growing Man. Thunderbolts out on the town. So at this point, they're already like in it. They're happy being the Thunderbolts, and they enjoy being heroes. They learn how to work as a team. They learn that they can defeat foes together that they wouldn't be able to defeat one-on-one. And we get introduced to this reporter. So this is almost like the Lois Lane. It's Miss Rordan. I'm trying to see what her first name is. She plays a big role in this story, man. She ends up becoming involved with Atlas. And then there's even more twists and turns with her later on in this omnibus. Nice, big, explosive artwork. Songbird can make these constructs so she can help members of the team who can't fly get around. Yeah, so here's issue 6. You can see how they have like this budding relationship. So it gets really interesting when they start having to fight against these elements of doom, these monsters that are like, one of them is gold, one of them is silver, one of them is whatever, different type of elements. And there's like 109 of them. They actually hang around for a few issues. Yeah, see all 109 of them onto issue 7. So during all these battles, especially during the elements of doom, Zemo, he's constantly pressuring the journalist that's in contact with S.H.I.E.L.D. to give up the Avengers files. Now, he's saying that he needs them to help fight these battles, but really he just wants them to help him with his plans of world domination. Now, one of the craziest things, like I said, when we started to feel like the book was having a certain status quo, at the end of this issue, the Fixer, he gets ran up on by one of those elements of doom, and you hear this cracking sound, and he was killed. I want to thank That Spider-Man Booth for sponsoring this video. They have a monthly subscription box which guarantees you 5 comics, $100 retail value, plus 2 exclusives that you can only get in this box. The first one is 8 Billion Genies, issue number 8, virgin cover, limited to just 500 copies. And the second one is 300, issue number 1, reprinting Frank Miller's classic with a limited print run of just 1,500. Check out thatspidermanbooth.com and sign up for their subscription box today. That was crazy. Look at Bagley's Spider-Man. I don't really love Bagley on the other characters. I think he does a good job. But when he does Spider-Man, Thunderbolts just lost a member, which is crazy. And it's cool to see how Zemo and Moonstone have to work things out and paint the narrative that they're going to tell to the world. Now, the thing I didn't really like with the whole Fixer Techno thing is that they brought him back right away. He used his powers of technology to go inside technology, and he's not even sweating that he was killed. He's like, hey, this body's actually way more efficient. This is cool. Like, they end up defeating the elements of doom, and you have all these heroes chopping it up together after the fight. Really just helps solidifying the Thunderbolts as one of the good guys. We're pretty early on in this run, and Zemo is letting the rest of the team know, like, yo, we're about to enact the plan. We're not going to be doing this good guy stuff forever. Some of the other members are digging it. Atlas, Mach 1, Songbird. They enjoy being heroes. All right, so Black Widow shows up again in Thunderbolts 9. She knows they're bad guys pretending to be good. I don't think she really pins exactly who's who, but she kind of brings up the fact that Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver were originally bad guys, and they reformed and became Avengers. So she's pretty much saying, like, yo, do the right thing. I'm going to keep an eye on you. Here it goes again. We're on issue 10. We're starting to feel a little bit of a status quo, and boom, we drop another big twist. Not only do the heroes come back, the whole Heroes Reborn thing, but they're outed as the masters of evil. So the whole world knows who the Thunderbolts really are. Hawkeye shows up here. That's going to be important later on. Being that they were outed and that the heroes returned, Baron Zemo set it up to have 4 Freedoms Plaza destroyed. So they see themselves out of that building and they destroy it. The Masters of Evil were famously known for destroying Avengers Mansion in classic Marvel Comics as well. So that was kind of a nod to that. Now they're responsible for destroying both. I like how the Zemo and Techno go off on their own to stay evil, and the rest of the members agree to continue on as the Thunderbolts and be good. So after the whole Zemo blowing up 4 Freedoms Plaza, the Thunderbolts take down or try to help the heroes take down Zemo and Techno. So here we have a whole return, and you have Avengers. Pretty cool scene. So we get a double-sized issue for issue 12. Now, this issue was kind of whack to me because we just got the Avengers and the FF back from being killed, and immediately they fall victim to Baron Zemo's mind control thing, and he has control of all of these heroes. So I thought that was kind of like a little too fast to do that to them right when they got back. Iron Man is the only one who doesn't get controlled, and this is actually an important issue in that sense, that Iron Man working with the Thunderbolts really gives them some credit and makes them feel like they could be heroes like the Avengers. Obviously, they break the trance. All the heroes know that the Thunderbolts help them against Baron Zemo. Now we have Marvel's Most Wanted Thunderbolts for issue 13. Immediately after the Thunderbolts help Earth's mightiest heroes with Baron Zemo, they disappear. It looks like they teleported away, but we know as a team they don't have that capability. They were actually brought back to that dimension of cosmos which is a whole Atlas Goliath backstory. They end up back on that place where he was trapped, where Zemo rescued him from. Real quick, you can find me on Whatnot this Wednesday, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. I'm going to do an hour of $1 start auctions, and I got a bunch of inventory I got to clear out. I'm thinking about doing everything at 30 seconds, sudden death. Make sure to be there. If you haven't signed up for Whatnot yet, use the link in the description and in the pinned comment. It'll get you a $10 credit that you can use towards your first purchase on the app. Now, something very important does happen in this issue with Meteorite or Moonstone. In order to get out of this imprisonment, she helps overthrow the government there by killing the king in cold blood in front of the other Thunderbolts who are trying to be good at this point. But, you know, they understand why she did it. They had to do that in order to get out of Cosmos and get back to Earth. But it was kind of like, dang, she just killed this guy in cold blood. So we learned a lot about how, you know, her becoming a psychiatrist has really just helped grow her manipulation tactics, and she's really evil. Now they're back with issue 15. They're back. They're Earth's Most Wanted. Last time we really see them in the public, they destroyed Fourth Freedom's Plaza, but the media does know that they helped the Avengers to go against Zemo, so they're kind of up in the air with their public view right now. Her career gets shot. The media person there, Lois Lane, who was in a relationship with Atlas, who didn't know he was really Goliath, that didn't work out too good for her, but she'll come back around again later on in this run. Issue 15, I don't even remember. This was like another team they fought, the Lightning Rods. I think they were heroes emulating the Thunderbolts, but now they're mad at the Thunderbolts because they found out they were really the masters of evil. This is just illustrating like the public perception of them, even like these other hero teams that literally idolize them. Now they're trying to take them down. And then we see a Citizen V that's not Baron Zemo lurking in the shadows. And it's kind of weird where they go with this too. We'll get to that in a little bit. Thunderbolt 17th. Okay, so Graviton. The Graviton stuff is pretty important. This is where he first shows up. He is like really an OP villain. He has these crazy gravity type powers, and he really has everybody in a chokehold in this issue. We also get Citizen V against Baron Zemo in this issue for the first time. They have great action scenes, man. This Atlas stomping down on this guy here. Nice, again, fighting between Citizen V and Zemo. This is a nice cover too. So Jolt, she was struck hard with this news as well, that they were really villains. She didn't know that going in. She thought that they were heroes. Nice somber artwork here too of Atlas. The Crimson Cowl and the new Masters of Evil want to recruit the Thunderbolts to be bad guys, and they sell them on this headquarters, and you'll have dental and all this kind of stuff. And they're broke right now. No HQ. They're just on the lam, really. So it's kind of tempting. There's kind of a hard choice that needs to be made here. All right, then we got Charcoal. He's this monster. He's a bad guy. He's working with this organization. This all just starts here, and it becomes even more important later on. But Charcoal, the Burning Man, can get so hot that he can fly. It's so crazy what ends up happening with this character later on. They have to learn how to work together as a team without a leader to take down this creature that seems unbeatable, and you have the Masters of Evil on them as well. Now what's dope is there's a lot of times where Moonstone, who I said is like, she's still really evil, where she stands up for the team and she has like this camaraderie with them, so they don't give in and they don't take the Masters of Evil's offer. And that's a pretty cool, important part for Moonstone, even though she'll still struggle throughout this entire book. But then we have the Dread Knight show up. The Dread Knight is a villain who shows up to help the Thunderbolts. Really comes in clutch and saves the day. Then we get a little catch up. Baron Zemo is riding on Techno, who's embraced his machinery. And then as the Thunderbolts rendezvous, and they're like, what the heck, was that Dread Knight? And it turns out that it was really Hawkeye disguised as Dread Knight, kind of doing a reverse role to them. But Hawkeye takes an interest in the Thunderbolts. So here we go. We're issue 21 here. Songbird, she ends up getting a little bit crazy, man, as the book goes on here. She has like a lot of trauma in her life. But anyway, you have this kind of Hawkeye testing the Thunderbolts, you know, explaining that he was a crook before he joined the Avengers, and how the Avengers gave him a chance to redeem himself, and he really wants to help lead them to do the same. They need a leader. They don't have Zemo anymore. So they agree to have Hawkeye become the leader of the Thunderbolts. He claims he's going to be able to get their records expunged, but we know that he doesn't really have the ability to do that. The only one stipulation, though, is that Mach 1, he's got to turn himself in because he did commit a public murder as Beetle. And that's the only way this is going to work. Mach 1's got to do time for his crime. Big ramifications with him and Songbird because they're a couple and she has all these abandonment issues. Thunderbolts 22, Hercules shows up. Hercules is pissed because he's got to pass beef with Goliath. And now that Atlas has been outed as Goliath, Hercules comes and he wants really blood, man. He really wants to kill him. And it takes Hawkeye to stand up against, his former teammate as an Avenger, which really makes the Thunderbolts put their trust into Hawkeye and eventually gets Mach 1 and everybody, Jolt, to agree turning himself in is the right thing to do. So before we see how that plays out, we do get a Captain America vs. Citizen V annual, which tells the story of the original Zemo fighting the original Citizen V, just kind of building a little bit on the lore and to the background of Citizen V and who that character is supposed to represent. Now, Captain America, this is the version with this, hologram shield, runs up on the new person masquerading as Citizen V, and we learn who that person truly is. So apparently she had padding underneath to look like a dude, but this is really the granddaughter of the original Citizen V. There never really was a grandson or something along those lines. So she's really a hero, but that's going to be interesting as well when you see that Citizen V character show back up with the Thunderbolts. Then we get a Thunderbolts 0 issue, the last night of luxury that the Thunderbolts have, using like whatever criminal earned money they had, and they're basically going to go 100% good guys on Monday when Mach 1 turns himself in. And now we're getting an idea of what it's like with Hawkeye on the Thunderbolts team, helping them become better, and everybody's working together. Then we're on to that Avengers 12 issue. Reading this issue and this omnibus really let me know I need to read the Kurt Busiek, George Perez Avengers omnibus. I feel like I'm really going to enjoy it after what I read in this issue here. So a lot of stuff that's not really pertinent to the story, like Vision coming back. The Avengers end up getting into it with the Thunderbolts here, and Hawkeye steps in, and that's when he lets them know, what he's got going on. Hawkeye leaves the Avengers in order to be the leader of the Thunderbolts. If you guys are looking to pick up any omnibus or collected editions, you got to hit up organicpricebooks.com. JP is going to take care of you. Plus, you can save $2 on any order if you use code GemMint at checkout. So there's this rich guy who has hired a U.S. agent and the jury, who you remember the jury from other Mark Bagley stuff like Spider-Man and such. But he hires them to take down the Thunderbolts because really they're outed as villains. They haven't been like pardoned or anything for that. So they're still kind of on the run, even though Hawkeye is the leader now. They're going to chill out of this little cabin. None of their headquarters really last that long. That's kind of like a running trope with them. They're being spied on by Citizen V. They're being spied on by Cyclone. The Charcoal Man shows back up, but the Charcoal Man is really this young kid who sees that they're villains trying to be reformed heroes. He wants part of that. So this is where Charcoal joins the Thunderbolts as a member and actually has a lot of great dynamics with Songbird and Joel and the rest of the team. This is Charcoal right here. So this is his whole backstory on the organization he was with when he first ran up on the Thunderbolts. Now he's part of the team. So again, one of those things where we're having the status quo and then boom, they switch it up, add another member. So the Masters of Evil have actually grown to 25 supervillains. So that's a big thing that they do with issue 25 of Thunderbolts, and here's that wraparound cover, the same as what's on the hardcover here. So they have this ability to create like powerful storms everywhere. So all over the world, these storms are tearing cities up. All of the heroes are stuck trying to save the citizens, and meanwhile, these Masters of Evil who planted these machines all over the world, they're getting ready to strike, and the Thunderbolts have snuck onto their craft or whatever they're on. They're going to use Moonstone as meteorite to say, hey, listen, remember that offer you gave me back in the day? Let me take you back up on that to try to infiltrate. They did M'Baku dirty back in the day too, man. They really did him justice in the movies. So here's one of these interesting things, that a seed that gets planted here. She's trapped in jail. She notices a key in the corner of the cell. She's not really sure who it's coming from. Is it a test from the Crimson Cowl? Who is trying to help her out? So she decides not to break out with it because she doesn't want to blow her cover. She is in prison, but she still wants them to think she's trying to join the Masters of Evil. Meanwhile, the Thunderbolts knock out 5 villains, try to take their costumes as best they can to get closer to take down the remaining group of Masters of Evil that are huddled in the HQ here. Eventually, they take down the Masters of Evil, and the Crimson Cowl is outed to be Dallas Rourdan, the reporter lady who was Atlas's girlfriend and all that. She was the Crimson Cowl the whole time, even before they were outed as the Masters of Evil. So it was kind of, we don't really get a conclusion of that in this omnibus. It's still an ongoing thing. So that's kind of a crazy reveal. Another one of those twists and turns that this run offers. So Mach 1, now he's in jail. The cover showing him fighting Boomerang, Rhino, and Cyclone. And he's one of the most reformed out of all of them. I mean, he turned himself in, kind of teasing us like they're going to give us another curveball, Thunderbolts 27, but it's just a guest starring with Archangel. Then you have all these flying people. This is the return of Graviton, who was only really defeated psychologically by Moonstone in the last encounter. He had them all beat, but she kind of said, man, you have no plan, you have no vision, what are you even doing? And he gives up. But now he's recruited this whole gang of people and declares his own nation in this floating island in the sky. We're going to see that coming up soon. And now Graviton has purpose. Yeah, here's the island in the sky. So he rips up this chunk of land. He declares this his own island. And he's formidable, man. The power of gravity. He basically can entrap anybody in air and has the whole entire Thunderbolts team trapped, except for Jolt and Charcoal, who Hawkeye is forcing them to go to public school. So they were in the mix. The other thing that's going on here is there's somebody in the headquarters. They've taken the headquarters from Dallas Rourdan, the Crimson Cowl. Now they have this HQ, but like they'll come back and their ship will be fixed, or their uniforms will be fixed, or even made new uniforms. They even make a symbiote joke on like how when Spider-Man got his suit, he makes a fleet of flying steeds like Hawkeye has. Here's a scene showing that even though U.S. Agent and the jury are bought, they're still going to do the right thing. So that's kind of like an ally group that the Thunderbolts have out there. Jolt going up against Graviton on the cover of this one. She has to go see Machine Man to figure out how to stop Graviton. Now Songbird, like I said, she's got abandonment issues. So when Hawkeye saves her life, even though her boy Mach 1 just went to jail, she tries to kiss him, but he stops her and what have you. So kind of awkward, but Clint did the right thing. Basically, Graviton did all of this to spite Moonstone because how she beat him in their initial battle, and he gets pissed, pushing him to the point where he basically implodes and really gets transported to another dimension. And then you have in issue 30, what's funny, you had Songbird kissing Hawkeye. Now you got Hawkeye kissing Moonstone here. Once that's resolved, they were working with Archangel that whole time. He basically says, hey, you guys are cool with me. They come back, they're, hover cars all souped up. This is the new uniform. They're wondering who is in the base that's fixing all of our stuff. Now, when Atlas goes and hits the bar, he runs into this bartender. He knows it's really Mankiller, but he doesn't turn her in. He's kind of like, man, she's trying to lay low and just do the right thing and just work a regular job. So he doesn't take her in. And he thinks he sees Techno, who, remember, he was killed, but with his cybernetic body, who knows if he can, reform himself. But he doesn't say anything to the rest of the team, so that plays a role. Then you have Moonstone and Hawkeye, like from the cover of this issue. Moonstone starts to feel Hawkeye. She actually can metabolize her costume on and off, so she takes it off to be completely naked, and your girl Songbird walks in on him, which is awkward. Issue 31, it resolves that pretty quick. She can just put on these other clothes because now they want to blend in with regular people. These are the group of people who created Charcoal and were with him when they initially attacked them. Hawkeye really now wants to take the team on the offensive and go take down bad guys, not just be there when there's destruction happening or what have you. The end of that issue just introduces another supervillain team that the Thunderbolts are facing, the Secret Empire, the Elites they call them, that have captured the Thunderbolts, and now they have to fight their way out. They get some help from U.S. Agent and the jury, so that came full circle. They get some help from the new Citizen V, so now all the allies are helping break them out of this spot that they're in. Here's where they come home and have a whole new fleet of flying steeds that somebody created for them. And in the last issue, we're going to find out who that is. That's where they're back from the whole debacle with the Secret Empire. Again, Mark Bagley Spider-Man, top tier. And I love the new Spider-Man suit. That's awesome. All right, so we finally find the guy who's there, and we get his whole backstory on he's been at this base throughout multiple tenants who have been there. And it goes through all these Serpent Society, Hydra, Masters of Evil, and he's always just been this guy that's in this huge complex. This is like this big HQ that he's just been tending. Towards the end, a couple of things happen. Dallas, the Crimson Cowl, she's broken out of jail when Atlas goes to visit her, and then something happens where like an updated version of the Beetle, Mach 1, who's supposed to be locked up, is out on the run on the loose, and we end with Techno ended up kidnapping the engineer guy, and he's going to be a mole within the Thunderbolts, apparently. This is the last issue that Kurt Busiek does. It looks like Fabian Nicieza continues that, and that's where we're going to continue with Volume 2. But we get some promotional artwork. Mark Bagley in the back of this here, trade paperback covers. We have house ads, and then designs. Definitely need to read that Kurt Busiek Avengers Omni, both volumes. And there we have it, everything that went down in Volume 1 of Thunderbolts. I think I'm going to jump right into Volume 2 and just keep this train going. There's a lot of other stuff that I want to read, but I'm on a Thunderbolts kick right now. Let me know in the comments down below, what did you think about this video? And again, who is your favorite Thunderbolt? Appreciate you watching. Stay minty fresh. Peace.